we're both people that don't like group activities.
Right.
We both hate group activities, so this was a challenge.
We're not team players.
We're not team players, so it's a miracle we actually made this work. In this book you meet our two main characters, Mina, who's a police officer, and Vincent, who is a mentalist. And this, of course, is a very peculiar combination, and the murders are quite peculiar as well.
So the idea actually started with the character Vincent, because me being a mentalist, I wanted to portray a mentalist who was actually the real thing, not the thing that you see in the TV series and so on. We know each other, we go way back, and the story just came along in a creative discussion, and all of a sudden we were at your summer house. And all of a sudden we realized that we had a plot for not a book, but an entire trilogy. And so from that point, we just needed to start writing it.
Yeah. Well, we've been friends for 15 years or something like that, and we met because we are published at the same publishing house, and we went on this book trip, book festivity together, and just clicked. So we know each other very, very well. He's a Lego fan. So I had made, you know, we have Lego Masters in Sweden. The winner of Lego Masters Sweden first season built a Henrik 1-on-1 scale, which is now in their living room. So I'm not a fan of his wife.
It weighs 70 kilos.
Yes. It's a bit bigger than you, actually.
Yeah, it's a couple of centimeters.
So he's standing in the living room like this.
Scaring the living daylights out of anyone who enters the room. Ah! But you're not allowed back into our place anymore.
No, probably not. But he actually gave me a very good birthday gift as well, because I had my birthday in August. And he gave me, he even had made a special, beautiful wooden box with a plaque on. And when you open it, there's my own autopsy set. All the tools you need for an autopsy. So whenever I need to spontaneously autopsy someone, I can do it.
As you do on a Thursday evening.
Of course.
You know, yeah.
And the scary thing was that I knew what all the things were for. I was like, oh, there's a bone saw, and there's a scalpel. And yeah, he was like a bit freaked out.
Well, I think it's on all the pages in the book. It's there because Vincent is doing what I do in my job normally. He doesn't do anything that's not realistic. So we really needed to make sure that everything in it, the psychology in it, everything was as it is in real life. And we've actually gotten quite a good response from that. The book got reviewed on our psychology website even, just because they wanted to handle how great we portrayed the psychology in it. And that's because we have been very, very adamant in making everything very true.
I live for that stuff. I mean, I watch true crime 24/7, and I read about famous murder stories, etc., etc. I've always been interested. So for me, that's like my hobby, my interest, my place of joy.
And I forget about it being, you know, portraying actual people getting torn to pieces. I'm getting into the writing style of it. How can I make this more horrific? Which words can I use to trigger even more emotions in the reader? So for me, it becomes sort of a literary experiment, really, how to portray those scenes in the worst possible way ever. And I tend to forget that I'm actually, you know, making it hard for people to read. But
you look very happy when you write these murder scenes.
Well, I think a bit of both, because what we had to begin with, we had some of the characters, and we had the puzzle, a bit of the puzzle. But from that, everything grew, and the characters came along, and as soon as the characters were invented, it all became about them. Because if you don't care about the characters, the plot is, you know...
I would say we're very character-driven,
yeah,
both of us, when we write.
Yeah. Well, I think actually the hardest part was, you know, daring to do it. Because both Camilla and I, we work great alone.
Yeah.
We're not so good with other people. at least working together with other people. So the question was, will we be able to pull this off? Or, you know, because since we were friends, we didn't want to risk our friendship just to write the book. So we treaded quite carefully for a couple of months just to see, can we do this or not? And I think that was the hardest part.
Yeah, I think so. We're both people that don't like group activities.
Right.
We both hate group activities. So this was a challenge.
We're not team players.
We're not team players. So it's a miracle we actually made this work. I work in front of the TV, and that's been a challenge for him.
We've been writing in Camilla's living room, and I have to, you know, when I see a TV, and go, oh, look, there's something shiny. So I have to sit with the back to the TV. Yeah. There's always some true crime and mystery thing going on. Yeah. I need music, though, when I write. Instrumental music, it can't be vocal music. So that's me.
What we've done is we've sat together at my house for like 1 day per week, and then we decide which next scenes we're going to write, because this is basically written chronologically. And when we decide those, sitting together, we divide them up and we go our separate ways, and we write at home. I write in my couch. I'm not quite sure where you write.
I don't know where I write.
Wherever
I happen to be. No.
And then we send the scenes to each other, and we're both allowed to change in the other person's scene, and then we put it together, and then we sit together again for a day and decide new scenes. So that's how we've been technically working with this. We don't send it until the whole manuscript is finished, actually. So
no
we don't. Yeah, no, not while we are in the process. But when it's finished, then our, editor, publisher at the publishing house is the first to get to read it, and our spouses.
Yeah, and that is scary.
Yeah,
that is scary. Both of them, both the editor and our spouses.
Yeah,
because we don't know if it's good enough. I mean, we like it.
Yeah.
The question then becomes, will anyone else like it? So, and in Sweden, Box has had a huge success. It's been out in a month, and it's everywhere. But we had no idea. I mean, we hoped that people will enjoy it or love it.
But you can never know. You can never know.
We never write gruesome stuff just for the sake of it. In this book, it was necessary. The second part is there's basically no blood in it, because the story it doesn't warrant it. So it's all due to what does the story need.
And before we started working together, Henrik hadn't even read crime.
No. Really.
My crime books are the only ones he's read, and I've gotten him so hooked now on everything that has to do with murders and crime and forensics. So now he can text me things like, oh, did you know that a body decomposes much faster when it's under these circumstances? And I'm like, yeah.
And the thing is, I mean, I was a bit hesitant about writing a crime novel because that's not my genre. So my first question to, and Camilla said, look, if you're going to be writing with me, it's going to be a crime novel. But yeah, sure, that's going to be fine. But does there have to be a murder? Does someone really have to die? That was our first sort of, oh, this is
and I looked at him and I was like, this is not going to work. This is not going to work. But I got him over to the dark side. I don't know. The sky's the limit. I just love to create stories and love to do it in different ways. So I try to always keep moving.
The rock star of Nordic Noir.
Yes,
that's fantastic.
Remember that?
I never heard that. That's amazing.
I don't often say that myself.
But you heard it before. Yeah.
Have you heard that I'm called the rock star of Nordic Noir? They also mention Queen quite a lot, actually.
Yeah, I forget that. Yeah.
And Europe's Agatha Christie. No, the modern. Yeah, so that one I like very much. For me, it's really, I mean, Agatha Christie was one of the first adult books I read, Death on the Nile, and I just loved it. But I'm also very inspired by horror writers like Stephen King, Dean Koontz, for example. So that's where my literary love lays.
And I'm more of a sort of a horror fantasy reader. Neil Gaiman, Joe Hill, people like that. That's where I come from, and also a lot of 70s sci-fi. I absolutely love that. But for this, it was mainly the puzzles in Box is sort of, or I approached our work with Box the way I approach my stage shows in Sweden. how to create the intricate things and patterns more than trying to adopt an literary style. Well, first of all, don't wait for inspiration. Just sit there and write. No matter if it's going to be shit or not, just do it. And if you delete it at the end of the day, you've still written something, you had a new thought. But it's work. It's not something you just... The creative process is sort of overrated.
Yeah.
It's going to be there if you don't give up. So don't give up.
It's all about getting your butt on the chair.
Yeah.
That's a trick. That's the magic of it. I just finished a book that I really, really like. I think it came out like 1 or 2 years ago, though, so it's not a very recent book. But it's in English, I think it's called Lullaby, by Leila Slimani. I love the psychology, scary factor in that one. So that's the latest one I finished.
Oh, that's a good question. I'm doing so much research reading at the moment, so I can't remember anything properly to recommend. I'm sorry, but I'll say what she said.